The January sun blazed over Manhattan as Victoria Bennett parked her black Tesla in the underground garage of her Upper East Side brownstone. At 39, she embodied everything business magazines celebrated. CEO of a boutique investment firm, Columbia MBA, with a client roster that included some of the biggest names in American finance. But when she turned off the engine and looked in the rearview mirror, the woman staring back looked exhausted. "Mom!" 7-year-old Emma's high-pitched voice echoed through the marble foyer when Victoria opened the door. The girl ran toward her, wrapping small arms around her legs. "Hey, sweetheart." Victoria crouched to kiss her daughter, but her attention was already on the phone buzzing insistently in her pocket. It was Jennifer, her business partner. "Sorry, Em. Mom needs to take this." Victoria held up one finger, signaling it would be quick. But 20 minutes later, she was still on the phone, pacing back and forth in her home office while Emma watched silently from the doorway. This was the routine. It had always been this way for the past 2 years, since the divorce. Actually, if Victoria were honest with herself, it had always been this way, even before the marriage ended. Work always came first. That's how she was raised. That's how she achieved success. But the price was becoming increasingly evident in her daughter's sad eyes. "Ms. Bennett," called Rosa, the housekeeper who had worked for her 15 years. "The new nanny has arrived." Victoria hung up and went to the living room. There stood Claire Thompson, 28 years old, light brown hair pulled into a ponytail, wearing a simple blouse and jeans. Unlike the other candidates Victoria had interviewed, older women with years of experience in wealthy families, Claire had something different. She was younger, graduated from NYU with a degree in early childhood education, with specializations in child development. But what really caught Victoria's attention in the resume were the emotional recommendation letters from previous families. "Good morning, Ms. Bennett." Claire extended her hand with a warm smile. "Good morning, Claire. Please call me Victoria." She shook the woman's hand, noticing the firm but gentle grip. "This is Emma." Emma hid behind her mother's legs, peeking at Claire curiously. "Hi, Emma." Claire crouched to the girl's height. "You know, I saw on your file that you like to draw. I brought some special colored pencils for us to make a drawing together. What do you think?" Emma's eyes lit up for the first time in weeks. She looked at her mother, asking permission. "Go ahead, honey." Victoria smiled, but something tightened in her chest. Why didn't she ever think of things like this? Why did she always delegate these moments? Over the following days, Victoria observed Claire from afar. The young woman arrived punctually at 7 in the morning and stayed until 7 in the evening, when Rosa took over until Victoria returned from work, usually after 9. Claire prepared Emma's breakfast, took her to the private school in the neighborhood, picked her up on time, helped with homework, played, read stories. Everything seemed perfect, but Victoria couldn't relax. "You're being paranoid," said Jennifer during a business lunch at Persay. "The woman has excellent references. What are you expecting to find?" "I don't know." Victoria pushed her salad around without appetite. "It's just, all the others seemed perfect at first too. Then I'd discover they were on their phone all the time, or treated Emma with indifference when I wasn't around. I once caught one pinching my daughter because she spilled juice, and you fired her immediately as you should have. But that doesn't mean they're all like that. I know. But what if Claire is also just pretending? How will I know who she really is if I'm never home to see?" That's how the idea emerged. That night, after Emma fell asleep, Victoria devised a plan. She would tell Claire she needed to travel to Boston on business for 3 days. But actually, she would stay hidden in the guest suite on the upper floor of the brownstone, a space rarely used that Claire would have no reason to enter. From there, she could observe everything through the security cameras and, when necessary, discreetly go downstairs to hear conversations. "This is crazy," said Rosa, when Victoria told her the plan. "You're becoming obsessed." "I'm not obsessed, Rosa. I'm cautious. It's my daughter at stake." The housekeeper sighed, but agreed to help, discreetly bringing food to Victoria during the 3 days. If you're enjoying this story, leave your comment. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any moment of this emotional journey. Monday morning, Victoria staged an elaborate goodbye. She packed a suitcase, wore an executive suit, and left through the front door at 6 in the morning, greeting Claire, who had just arrived. "I'll be away until Thursday," said Victoria, handing over a list of instructions. "Any emergency, call me. Rosa will be here too, but you're in charge with Emma. You can count on me, Victoria. Everything will be fine." Claire smiled confidently. Victoria got in the car, drove to the corner, and parked in the garage of a friend who lived 2 blocks away. 20 minutes later, she was discreetly entering through the back door of her own house, quickly going upstairs to the guest suite. From there, her world became the security system screens. First day. Victoria watched Claire prepare breakfast. Heart-shaped pancakes, fruit cut like little animals, fresh juice. Emma ate enthusiastically, talking non-stop about a cartoon she'd seen on TV. Claire listened with genuine attention, asking questions, laughing at the childish observations. "Claire, why does Mom work so much?" Emma suddenly asked. Victoria, in the suite, froze. She waited anxiously for the response. "Your mom works because she's very dedicated," Claire answered patiently. "She wants you to have the best of everything, a beautiful home, a good school, opportunities she maybe didn't have. It's her way of showing she loves you, but she's never home. I know it seems that way sometimes. But you know, Em, adults are also learning to be parents. Your mom is doing the best she can." The answer was gentle, but honest. Victoria felt a lump in her throat. During the day, Claire played dolls with Emma, helped her with math homework, with a patience Victoria admitted she didn't have, and even taught the girl origami. In the afternoon, they went to Central Park. Victoria followed them from a distance, wearing sunglasses and a baseball cap, feeling ridiculous but unable to stop. At the park, she observed Claire running after Emma, pushing her on the swing, consoling her when she fell and scraped her knee. The nanny's attention was completely focused on the girl. No phone, no distractions. At dinner, Emma spilled grape juice on the tablecloth, an accident that always irritated Victoria. Victoria held her breath, waiting for Claire's reaction. "Oops. No problem, Em. Accidents happen." Claire calmly cleaned everything, without a word of reproach. "Let's put this tablecloth in the wash and get another one. Can you help me?" On the second day, Victoria noticed something more. Claire didn't just take care of Emma. She genuinely enjoyed being with her. There was a lightness in their interactions, a genuine joy. When Emma told nonsensical stories, Claire pretended to be completely fascinated. When the girl wanted to show the 10th drawing of the day, Claire praised each one as if it were a masterpiece. It was something Victoria, with her mind always on spreadsheets and meetings, rarely managed to do. On the afternoon of the second day, Emma asked, "Claire, do you have kids?" "I don't, sweetie." "Why not?" Claire smiled with an almost imperceptible sadness that Victoria, watching closely, managed to catch. "I haven't found the right person to build a family with yet. But you know, taking care of special children like you makes my heart very happy." "I like you too, Claire. You're cool." "You're very cool too, Em." Victoria turned off the monitor for a moment, pressing her hands against her face. That woman was being too perfect. There had to be something wrong, some flaw, some sign that it was just a facade. But no matter how hard she looked, she found nothing. On the night of the second day, something happened that would change everything for Victoria. Emma woke up crying at 2 a.m. Victoria, who was sleeping dressed in the guest suite ready for any emergency, jumped up. Through the monitor, she saw her daughter's bedroom light turn on. Claire appeared at the door seconds later, in pajamas, her hair messy. "Em, what's wrong, sweetie?" She sat on the bed, hugging the sobbing girl. "I had a nightmare. Mom went away and never came back." Victoria's heart broke. Hey, that was just a dream. Your mom will be back on Thursday as she promised. She always comes back, but she leaves again. She always leaves." Claire held Emma's face gently. "Let me tell you a secret, okay? Your mom loves you more than anything in the world. I see it in the way she looks at you, in the way she worries about making sure everything is organized for you to be okay when she's not here. But why doesn't she stay with me more? Doesn't she like being with me? Oh, Em." Claire pulled the girl into a tight hug. "She loves being with you, but sometimes adults have difficult responsibilities. Your mom works so hard because she wants to give you security, Wants you to never have to struggle. It's her way of taking care of you. But I don't want things. I want Mom. Victoria, in the suite, covered her mouth to muffle a sob. Tears flowed freely down her face. I know, sweetie. And you know what I'm going to do? When your mom comes back, I'll talk to her. I'll tell her you're missing her, that you two need more time together. I promise. You really promise? I promise. Because everyone deserves to have time with the people they love, and your mom deserves to know how much you need her, not just her work. Emma calmed down, and Claire stayed with her until she fell asleep, singing a soft lullaby in a low voice. Victoria remained awake the rest of the night, Claire's words echoing in her mind. That woman had seen in just a few days something Victoria had been ignoring for years. Her daughter didn't need more expensive toys or luxury vacation trips. She needed her mother, simply present. On the third day, Victoria discreetly came down from the suite while Claire and Emma were in the garden. She needed air, needed to think. She stayed in the kitchen talking with Rosa. "Are you seeing now?" said the housekeeper. "Claire is a good person. You were torturing yourself for nothing." "I know. It's just..." Victoria sighed. "It's that I'm so afraid, Rosa. Afraid to trust and be disappointed again. Afraid of not being a good enough mother. Afraid that if I stop working so hard, we'll lose everything I've built. Have you ever thought that maybe you're working so hard precisely to avoid facing those fears?" The observation hit Victoria like a punch. She was about to respond when she heard voices approaching. She quickly went back upstairs to the suite, but not before hearing Emma say, "Claire, I wish you were my mom too." Claire's response was cut off by the door Victoria closed, but those words stayed engraved in her heart. That afternoon, Victoria made a decision. She was going to end the test, not because Claire had failed, on the contrary, but because she, Victoria, was failing. She was hiding instead of facing her problems. She was spying instead of trusting. She was working instead of living. She picked up her phone and called Jennifer. "I need some time. I can't come to the office for the next 2 weeks." "What? Victoria, are you crazy? We have the presentation for the Federal Reserve on Friday." "You're perfectly capable of doing it alone. Actually, you've been doing most of the work the last few months anyway. It's time I trust you more and focus on other things." "What other things?" "My daughter. My life. The person I want to be." There was a pause on the other end. "Okay, but you're going to explain to me exactly what's happening when you get back." After hanging up, Victoria showered, changed clothes, and went downstairs. It was 4 in the afternoon. Claire and Emma were in the living room, making collages with old magazines. "Mom!" Emma jumped off the couch and ran to her. "You're back! But you weren't supposed to come back until tomorrow?" "I changed my mind. I decided I wanted to see my daughter today." Victoria hugged Emma tightly, inhaling the scent of children's shampoo. Claire stood up, confused. "Victoria, I thought you were in Boston." "Can I talk to you privately, Claire?" Victoria asked, her heart beating fast. The two women went to the office. Victoria closed the door and turned, facing the nanny. "I need to tell you something, and you have every right to be angry with me." Claire frowned, worried. "I didn't travel. I've been in the house the whole time, in the guest suite." Victoria took a deep breath. "I was spying on you." Claire's expression went from confusion to shock, then to something like hurt. "You were watching me this whole time?" "Yes. Through the security cameras, and sometimes in person. I know it was wrong, and I apologize. But I needed to know if I was trustworthy," Claire completed, her voice cold. "If I was a good nanny or just pretending." "Yes." Claire walked to the window, turning her back for a moment. When she turned around, her eyes were glistening, but there was something beyond anger there. There was understanding. "You know what's funny?" Claire said slowly. "I knew." "You knew?" "Not from the beginning, but yesterday I went upstairs to get an extra towel from the hallway closet and saw the guest suite door ajar. I peeked without meaning to and saw your clothes, your suitcase. At first I was confused, then everything made sense. Victoria felt her face heat with shame. And you didn't say anything? No. Because I understood. Claire approached. Victoria, I've worked as a nanny for 6 years. I've taken care of many children, seen many mothers. And you know which ones are the most suspicious? The ones who test the most? The ones who watch the most? Victoria shook her head. The ones who love the most. The ones who are most afraid of failing. The ones who carry so much guilt and so much fear that they can't trust anyone, not even themselves. The words hit Victoria like a wave. She sat in the office chair, her legs weak. I don't know how to be a mother and have professional success at the same time, Victoria admitted, her voice breaking. My own mother chose family and lived unhappy. My father chose work and we lost him emotionally. I don't want either of those destinies. But I don't know how to do it differently. Claire sat in the chair beside her. Can I give you an honest opinion? Please. You're trying to be perfect at both. Perfect mother, perfect CEO. But perfection doesn't exist. What exists is presence. Emma doesn't need you to be perfect. She needs you to be there, even if it's just 1 hour a day, but 1 complete hour, without phone, without emails, just you two. What if I can't? What if I'm too good at work and not good enough as a mother? Do you really think you're not good as a mother? Claire asked gently. Victoria, your daughter adores you. She has your picture on her nightstand. She talks about you all the time. She wants your attention, not your perfection. Victoria covered her face with her hands, finally letting the tears flow freely. I'm so tired, she whispered. So tired of trying to prove I can do everything alone. Claire touched her shoulder lightly, then stop doing it alone. Trust the people who want to help you, like Jennifer at work, like Rosa here at home, like me. Victoria looked up, meeting Claire's brown eyes. There was something there, a kindness, an unconditional acceptance she hadn't found in a long time. How can you be so understanding after what I did? Claire smiled. Because I understand. If I had a child, I'd probably do the same thing. Protecting the people we love isn't paranoia, Victoria. It's love. In that moment, something changed between them. A veil of distrust and formality fell, replaced by a genuine connection. Victoria no longer saw just a hired nanny. She saw a wise, kind woman who saw beyond the masks Victoria wore. Thank you, Victoria said sincerely, for not giving up on me, for taking such good care of my daughter, for seeing me. You're welcome. Claire stood up. Now, how about we go make collages with Emma? She'd love to have you there. I'd love that too. If this story is touching your heart, share in the comments, and subscribe to follow the unfolding of this emotional journey. The following 2 weeks transformed the dynamics of Victoria's house in ways she never imagined possible. For the first time in years, Victoria woke up at 7 a.m. not to review reports, but to have breakfast with Emma. She took her daughter to school, picked her up on time. In the afternoon, instead of immediately returning to the home office, she spent time with the girl, drawing, playing in the garden, simply talking. Claire continued working, but her role subtly changed. She was no longer just responsible for Emma. She was a partner in parenting, someone who filled the moments when Victoria needed to work, but who also respected and encouraged mother-daughter time. And something else was happening, something Victoria didn't expect, and that left her both excited and terrified. She was developing feelings for Claire. At first, Victoria tried to deny it. It was just admiration and gratitude, she told herself. Claire was a great nanny and an incredible person, nothing more than that. But then came the small moments that made her heart race, like when Claire laughed at one of Emma's silly jokes, throwing her head back, her brown hair catching the afternoon sunlight. Or when, after a difficult day dealing with a problematic client, Claire simply appeared with a cup of tea and said, I saw you were stressed. This tea helps calm you. My grandmother always made it for me. Or when their hands accidentally touched while reaching for the same toy to put away, and Victoria felt an electric current run up her arm. This was crazy, of course. Claire was her employee, younger than her. And Victoria didn't even know if Claire could feel that way about a woman. Victoria's own divorce had been precipitated in part by confusion about her sexuality, something she had buried deeply under the persona of successful businesswoman and married woman. But burying didn't mean disappearing. One afternoon, 3 weeks after the test, Victoria was working in the office when she heard music coming from the garden. Curious, she went to the window. Claire and Emma were dancing on the grass, spinning to the sound of an old American song. Emma laughed as Claire spun her, both completely lost in the moment. Victoria went downstairs without thinking, drawn by that contagious joy. "Can I join this dance?" she asked, stopping at the garden door. "Mom, come on!" Emma extended her arms, and so Victoria found herself dancing barefoot on her own lawn on a Thursday afternoon, with her daughter and with Claire, laughing like she hadn't laughed in years. When the music ended and Emma ran inside to get water, Victoria and Claire stood there, still close to each other, both breathing a little faster. "Thank you," Victoria said softly, "for bringing this back into my life." "What?" Lightness, spontaneity, joy. Victoria took a step closer. "I had forgotten that life could be like this." Claire looked at her with an intensity that made Victoria feel vulnerable, in a way she hadn't experienced in a long time. "Victoria, I need to tell you something," Claire began. But Emma returned at that moment, breaking the spell. That night, after Emma fell asleep, Victoria found Claire in the kitchen preparing her lunchbox for the next day. "What were you going to say earlier?" Victoria asked, leaning against the counter. Claire continued cutting fruit for a moment before answering, "That I'm going to miss this place a lot when I leave." "Leave? Why would you leave?" Claire finally looked at her. "Victoria, this can't continue." "What are you talking about?" "This." Claire gestured between them. "The way you look at me. The way I look back." Victoria's heart began to beat faster. "And how do you look back?" "Like you're more than my employer. Like these moments we spend together are more than just work." Claire put the knife down on the cutting board. "And that's wrong." "Why is it wrong?" "Because I work for you. Because you pay me to take care of your daughter. Because there's a huge power difference between us." Claire ran her hands through her hair, frustrated. "And because I can't afford to lose this job by developing feelings for my boss." "What if I said I'm also developing feelings?" Victoria asked quietly, her heart in her throat. Claire stared at her, eyes wide. "Victoria, I know it's complicated. I know it might be inappropriate. But I can't stop thinking about you, about how you've changed my life in just a few weeks, about how you make me want to be a better person." "You can't say these things," Claire whispered, but didn't step away. "Why?" "Because I've spent the last month trying not to fall in love with you, and you're making it very difficult." The air between them seemed electrified. Victoria took a step forward, and Claire took a step back, until she was leaning against the kitchen counter. "Claire," Victoria said softly, "tell me to stop if you want me to stop." Claire swallowed hard. "I don't know if I want to." Victoria slowly raised her hand, giving time for Claire to move away if she wanted. When Claire didn't move, she gently touched the younger woman's face, tracing a line from temple to jaw. "I don't know what I'm doing either," Victoria admitted. "I spent so much time focused only on work, hiding who I really am, that I forgot what it's like to feel something like this. But with you I feel alive again." "What about Emma?" Claire asked. "And your work, and what people will say." "Emma adores you. My work will survive if I set better boundaries. And people," Victoria smiled sadly, "people will always have something to say. I'm tired of living by their opinions." Claire closed her eyes for a moment, clearly struggling with something internally. When she opened them again, there was determination there. "If we're going to do this," she said firmly, "it has to be done the right way. I don't want to be the nanny who's having an affair with her boss. I don't want Emma to see something confusing or inappropriate." "I completely agree. So, what do you suggest?" "Let me resign. I'll help you find another nanny, make the transition smooth for Emma. And then, when I'm no longer your employee, if you still want—" Claire left the sentence hanging. Victoria felt a pang of panic. "What if you change your mind? What if you meet someone else in the meantime?" "Victoria, I'm not going to change my mind. But I need to do this the right way, not just for me, but for Emma. She's already been through so much with the divorce. I don't want to confuse or hurt her." Victoria knew Claire was right. even though every cell in her body wanted to ignore logic and simply follow her heart. But Claire was thinking about the child, as always, and that only made Victoria fall more in love. "You're right," Victoria agreed reluctantly. "We'll do it the right way." Claire smiled, relieved. "Thank you for understanding. But," Victoria added, a slight smile playing on her lips, "that means I'll have to wait to do this." And quickly, before losing courage, she leaned in and kissed Claire's cheek, very close to the corner of her lips. When she pulled away, Claire was blushing, her eyes bright. "That was totally inappropriate," Claire murmured, but she was smiling. "Completely," Victoria agreed. "We'll make it work, Claire. The right way, at the right time, but we'll make it work." "I'd like that." The next few weeks were, paradoxically, the hardest and happiest of Victoria's life. Hard because she and Claire maintained an appropriate professional distance, even while the attraction between them grew every day. Hard because explaining to Emma that Claire would no longer be the nanny, without explaining the real reason, was breaking the girl's heart. But also happy, because for the first time in years, Victoria had something to look forward to beyond the next closed deal. She had butterflies in her stomach when Claire arrived in the morning. She had long, deep conversations after Emma fell asleep, getting to know the woman behind the perfect nanny. She discovered that Claire had grown up in Portland, Oregon, in a humble but loving family, that she had always dreamed of working with children, that she was passionate about literature, indie music, rainy afternoons, that she had ended a serious relationship 2 years ago with a woman, and since then had focused only on work. "So you always knew?" Victoria asked in one of these nightly conversations, sitting on the living room couch with a respectful distance between them. "That I liked women? Yes, since adolescence. My family took a while to accept, but today everything's fine. And you?" Victoria sighed. "I always knew I was attracted to women, but I grew up in a conservative family, marrying a man, having children, building a career. That was the script. So that's what I did. But it was never, I don't know, complete. My marriage didn't end just because I worked too much. It ended because I could never give myself completely to him. And that made you sad, very. I felt like a fraud. A terrible wife, an absent mother, a woman who didn't really know herself." Victoria looked at Claire, "until you appeared and made me want to know myself." Claire smiled, extending her hand. Victoria took it, interlacing their fingers, the simple touch sending shivers up her arm. "We'll have time," Claire promised, "to get to know each other, to build something real. No rush." And indeed, they found a new nanny for Emma, an older, extremely competent woman named Mrs. Patricia. The transition was careful, with Claire introducing Patricia to the girl, staying a few days to ensure Emma adapted. On Claire's last day as nanny, Emma cried copiously. "Why do you have to go away?" The girl sobbed, hugging Claire. "Because I need to do other things, sweetie." "But I'm not going to disappear from your life, I promise. I'll visit. We'll continue being friends." "You really promise?" "I promise. And you know what? Mrs. Patricia is very nice too. She'll take very good care of you." Victoria watched the scene with her heart aching, but also with admiration for the gentleness with which Claire managed the situation. After Emma fell asleep that night, with Mrs. Patricia already settled in the staff room, Victoria found Claire at the front door, with her bag over her shoulder. "So this is it," Claire said. "I'm no longer your employee." "You're not anymore," Victoria confirmed, a slow smile forming on her face. "What do we do now?" "Now," Victoria said, finally allowing herself to take the step she so desired, closing the distance between them. "I invite you to dinner, a real date, just the two of us. I'd love that." Claire smiled, and for the first time, there were no barriers between them, just two women, connected by something genuine, ready to explore where this could lead. They scheduled it for the following Saturday. Victoria was nervous like a teenager, changed clothes 4 times, redid her makeup 3 times, questioned every choice. "Mom, you look beautiful," said Emma, watching the preparations with curiosity. "Where are you going?" "Dinner with a friend." "With Claire?" The girl's eyes lit up. Victoria hesitated but decided on honesty, to a certain extent. Yes, with Claire. She's special to me, Em. Very special. I know. You're happy when she's around. Emma tilted her head. Is it because you like her? Yes, I like her very much. Like you like Dad? Victoria sat on the bed next to her daughter. Different from how I like Dad, in a more genuine way, stronger. Emma thought for a moment. So it's love? The direct question from the child caught Victoria off guard. It could be the beginning of love, yes. That's okay. Claire is cool. I like when you're happy. The simple and genuine acceptance from her daughter brought tears to Victoria's eyes. She hugged Emma tightly. Thank you, sweetheart. You're amazing. I know, Emma responded with a 6-year-old's confidence, making Victoria laugh. The dinner was at a discreet restaurant in Greenwich Village, sophisticated enough to be special, but intimate enough for them to talk without being bothered. Victoria had reserved a corner table with soft candlelight. Claire arrived wearing a simple but elegant navy blue dress, her hair falling in waves over her shoulders. Victoria had to remind herself to breathe. You look beautiful, she said when Claire sat down. You too. Claire smiled, clearly nervous too. This is strange, isn't it? After weeks of seeing each other every day, suddenly we're here, and I don't know what to do with my hands. Victoria laughed, the tension breaking. I changed clothes 4 times. Only 4? I changed 6. They laughed together, and so the night flowed. Easy conversation, wine, delicious food they barely touched because they were absorbed in each other. They talked about dreams, about fears, about what they wanted for the future. I want to build something meaningful, Claire said. Not just take care of children out of obligation, but create educational programs. Maybe open a community space for children from low-income families. Make a real difference. That's beautiful. And I can help, with contacts, with funding if you need. I wasn't asking. I know. But I want to help. Not as your former employer, but as someone who believes in you and what you want to do. After dinner, they walked through the streets of Greenwich Village with no specific destination. The February night was cool, the sidewalks full of New Yorkers enjoying the weekend. Can I hold your hand? Victoria asked, hesitant. In response, Claire intertwined her fingers with hers. I was hoping you'd ask. They walked like this for blocks, talking, laughing, occasionally stopping to look at shop windows or watch street musicians. When they passed a group of men who made unpleasant comments, Victoria felt Claire tense, but she squeezed the younger woman's hand firmly. Ignore them, Victoria murmured. They don't matter. But Claire stopped, turning to Victoria. Are you ready for this? For the looks, the comments, the judgments? Because it won't be easy, Victoria, especially for you, who has a social position, a public image. Victoria pulled Claire closer. I spent 39 years of my life worrying about what others think, trying to fit into molds that were never made for me. I'm not going to do that again, not when I've finally found something real. Are you sure? Absolutely. Claire smiled, and there, in the middle of the busy Greenwich Village sidewalk, she leaned in and kissed Victoria. A soft, tender kiss that promised much more. When they pulled away, Victoria was smiling like an idiot. It was worth the wait, definitely. If you're loving this story, don't forget to leave your like and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this deserve to be shared. The following months were of discoveries and adjustments. Victoria and Claire began dating officially, but they were careful in how they introduced this dynamic into Emma's life. First as special friends who spent a lot of time together. Then, gradually, making it clear they were a couple. Emma, with the natural acceptance of children, simply incorporated this into her reality. So Claire is your girlfriend now? She asked one day during breakfast. Yes, she is, Victoria confirmed, prepared for difficult questions. Cool. Can I have more pancakes? And that was it. Simple for the child, even when the adult world around them was complicated. Because, of course, not everything was easy. Victoria's mother, when she found out, didn't speak to her for a month. Some of the firm's clients looked with poorly disguised judgment, when they saw Victoria and Claire together at social events. Jennifer, her partner, was worried about the impact on business. "I'm saying this as your friend," said Jennifer during lunch. "Are you sure you're ready to deal with the consequences? The financial market is conservative, Victoria. You could lose clients." "Then I'll lose them," Victoria responded calmly, "but I'm not going to lose who I am again. I spent too much time pretending, Jennifer. If people prefer to do business with a well-dressed lie than with an authentic woman, that's their problem." To Victoria's surprise, most clients didn't even blink, and those who cared were quickly replaced by new contacts that Jennifer, more progressive than Victoria imagined, brought from her own circles. Claire faced her own challenges. Her family, who theoretically accepted her sexuality, was worried about the age and social status difference between her and Victoria. "Mom, I'm 28 years old," Claire said during a visit to Portland. "I know what I'm doing." "It's not that, honey. It's just that she's rich, you're not. She has an established life, you're just starting. What if she gets tired of you? What if I get tired of her?" Claire countered. "Mom, I'm not with Victoria for money or status. I'm with her because she makes me happy, because we understand each other, because we built something real. I need you to trust me." Eventually, both families came around, some more easily than others, but Victoria and Claire learned that approval from others, while desirable, wasn't essential. What mattered was what they built together. Claire started her community project, an educational space for underprivileged children in the Bronx. Victoria helped with initial funding and contacts, but Claire led everything: her dream, her passion. Victoria, in turn, restructured her professional life. She hired a COO to manage daily operations, reduced her workload by 40%, and established strict boundaries. No work after 7 at night, no work on weekends. The result? The firm continued growing. Actually, it grew more because Jennifer and the new COO brought fresh ideas, and Victoria finally had time to live. Time to take Emma to the park, time for dinners with Claire, time to simply sit in the garden and read a book, time to breathe. 6 months after the first kiss, Claire practically lived in the brownstone. Her toothbrush was in Victoria's bathroom, half her clothes in the closet. Emma loved waking up and finding Claire having breakfast with them. "When is Claire going to officially live here?" Emma asked one day. Victoria and Claire looked at each other. They had discussed this, but cautiously, without rush. "Would you like her to live here?" Victoria asked her daughter. "Obviously. Then we could be like a real family." "We're already a family, sweetie," Claire said softly. "Families come in all formats. Everyone doesn't need to live together to be family. But I want her to live here. Please?" Victoria looked at Claire. "What do you think?" "I think," Claire said slowly, a smile growing on her face, "that I'd love to officially wake up here every morning." "Then it's decided," Victoria announced. "Claire, welcome to your new home." Emma screamed with joy, jumping off the couch to hug the two women she loved. Claire's move was simple. She didn't have many things, but symbolically, it was huge. For the first time, Victoria was sharing her space, her life, her heart completely with someone, and it was scary and wonderful at the same time. One night, a few months after Claire officially moved in, they were lying in bed, Emma already asleep in the next room. "Do you regret it?" Victoria asked in the dark. "Regret what?" "All of this. Leaving your job with me, complicating your life by dating an older woman with a daughter and 1,000 emotional baggage." Claire turned, propping herself up on her elbow to look at Victoria. "Are you serious?" "It's a legitimate question." "Victoria, you completely changed my life. You gave me courage to pursue my dreams, showed me what it is to be truly loved, gave me a family." Claire gently touched Victoria's face. "The only thing I regret is not meeting you sooner." "I love you," Victoria said, the words coming easily now, after months of practice. "Very much." "I love you too." Claire leaned in for a long, slow kiss. When they separated, Victoria was holding something in her hands, a small velvet box. "It's too early," she said nervously. "And I know we're still building this, that we have a lot ahead of us, but I want you to know that this isn't temporary for me. You're not temporary." Claire looked from the box to Victoria, eyes wide. Claire Thompson, Victoria continued, opening the box to reveal a delicate gold ring with a blue stone. I'm not asking you to marry me yet, but I'm asking you for a promise. The promise that we'll continue building this together, day after day. That when there are storms, we'll face them side by side. That we're in this for the long haul, no matter what happens. Claire had tears streaming down her face. This is a promise ring? It is. And when the right time comes, when Emma is older, when we're even more secure than we already are, I'll ask you for real. But for now, I just want you to know, you're my person, my family, my future. Yes, Claire whispered, extending her hand. Yes to everything, to the promise, to the future, to you. Victoria slid the ring onto Claire's finger, and then kissed her with all the emotion she felt. Gratitude, love, hope. When they separated, Claire was smiling through tears. You know I'm going to hold you to that real marriage proposal when the time comes, right? I'm counting on it. They stayed embraced in the dark for a long time, listening to the night sounds of New York through the open window, cars passing, the distant bark of a dog, the wind in the garden trees. Victoria? Claire said after a while. Thank you for pretending you weren't home that day. Victoria laughed. Why? Because if you hadn't done that crazy test, maybe we never would have gotten here. Sometimes we need a push, even if it's a kind of weird push, to find what we were looking for. I wasn't looking, Victoria admitted. When I hired you, I was just looking for someone to take care of my daughter while I worked. I never imagined I'd find someone who would take care of my heart, too. Life is like that, Claire murmured, snuggling closer. We make plans, devise tests, try to control everything, and then love appears and messes everything up in the best possible way. It really does mess things up. Victoria kissed the top of Claire's head. And I wouldn't change anything. 1 year later, Claire's community center was in full swing on a Saturday morning. Children ran through the colorful space, participating in art workshops, reading classes, and educational activities. Volunteers, including some contacts Victoria had mobilized from the corporate world, assisted at various stations. Victoria sat in a corner, watching Claire work with a group of small children, teaching them origami. Emma, now 8 years old, was there too, helping the younger children with surprising patience for her age. She learned that from Claire, said a voice beside Victoria. It was Jennifer, who had volunteered to give a talk on financial education for teenagers later. She did, Victoria agreed, her heart full of pride. Claire has this gift of teaching by example. And you've changed too, Jennifer observed. I remember when you'd arrive at the office at 6 in the morning and leave at 10 at night. Now you have balance. You seem happier. I am happier. I discovered that success isn't just about numbers and contracts. It's about waking up next to the person you love, having breakfast with your daughter, making a difference in the community. It's about living, not just working. She's good for you, Jennifer said, nodding toward Claire. You're good for each other. After the activities, the three of them, Victoria, Claire, and Emma, went to lunch at a restaurant near the community center, a simple but welcoming place that served home-style food. Mom, Claire, Emma said in the middle of lunch, looking seriously at the two women. Can I ask a question? Of course, honey, Victoria responded, a little apprehensive about the serious tone from her daughter. When are you going to get married for real? Victoria almost choked on her juice. Claire started laughing. What makes you think we're going to get married? Victoria asked. Emma rolled her eyes with the exasperation of a child who thinks adults are obviously slow. Mom, you sleep in the same bed. You kiss all the time. Claire wears a ring you gave her. You plan everything together. Obviously you're going to get married. I just want to know when. Claire and Victoria looked at each other, smiling. Well, Claire said, we were waiting for you to be a little older to understand everything better. I'm 8 years old. I already know that two women can love each other and be together. My teacher talked about different families at school. I'm not dumb. No, you're definitely not dumb, Victoria agreed, laughing. So, would you like it if Claire and I got married? Obviously. Then she'd be like my other mom officially. Could I call her Mom too? Claire felt her eyes fill with tears. You can call me whatever you want. It would be an honor to be considered your mother. Then it's decided, Emma announced with the authority of someone who solved a complicated problem. You're going to get married. Can I be the flower girl? You'd be the best flower girl in the world, Victoria promised, extending her hand across the table to hold Claire's and Emma's, our little family. That night, after putting Emma to bed, a task they now did together, with Claire reading while Victoria tidied the room, they sat on the back porch, watching the stars they could see through New York's light pollution. So, Claire said, a playful smile on her lips, when are you going to make that real marriage proposal you promised? Impatient? Victoria teased. Extremely. After all, we already have Emma's approval. It would be rude to keep her waiting. Victoria laughed, but then got serious. Claire, I want to do this right, not something rushed or improvised. I want it to be special, memorable, something you'll remember forever. Victoria, I'll remember forever anyway. You could ask me in a supermarket parking lot, and I'd say yes, I know. But you deserve more than a parking lot. Victoria pulled Claire closer. You deserve the world. I already have the world, Claire whispered. I have you. 3 months later, Victoria planned meticulously. She recruited Jennifer, Rosa, and even Claire's mother to help orchestrate the perfect proposal. She told Claire they were going for a weekend on the Long Island coast, something they did occasionally, just the 3 of them. But when they arrived at the beach house Victoria had rented in the Hamptons, Claire found the place decorated with flowers, candles, and photographs of the 3 of them together over the past year and a half. Victoria, what is all this? It's our story, Victoria responded, holding Claire's hands. Emma was beside her, holding a small basket with rose petals. Each photo represents a moment when I fell a little more in love with you. They walked through the house, Claire stopping at each photograph. Claire's first day as nanny, Emma laughing while Claire pushed her on the swing, the dinner in Greenwich Village, the community center opening, birthdays, holidays, everyday moments that together formed a life. The last photograph was on the porch facing the ocean. It was of the last photograph was on the porch facing the ocean. It was of the 3 of them together, taken by Rosa on an ordinary day, all smiling, completely relaxed and happy. When you pretended to be away to test me, Victoria began, her voice emotional, I discovered that you weren't trustworthy. I discovered my fears, my insecurities, my need for control. Victoria, but you also discovered who I really was underneath all that, and somehow, you decided that person was worth it, that she deserved love, patience, a second chance to truly live life. Claire was openly crying now. You taught me to trust, to be vulnerable, to balance work and life, to be a better mother, to be a better person. Victoria knelt down, taking a small box from her pocket. Emma approached, throwing rose petals around them. Claire Thompson, will you marry me? Will you continue building this beautiful family with us? Will you be my wife, Emma's other mother, my partner in everything? Claire could barely speak through tears. Yes. 1,000 times yes. Victoria slid the engagement ring, an elegant piece with 3 stones representing the 3 people in their family, onto Claire's finger. Then she stood up and kissed her, while Emma clapped enthusiastically and shouted, She said yes! She said yes! The sun was setting over the ocean, painting the sky in oranges and pinks. The 3 of them embraced there, on the porch of the beach house, a complete and true family. Mom Victoria and Mom Claire, Emma said experimentally. I like the sound of that. Me too, sweetie, Claire responded, pulling the girl closer. Me too. Victoria looked at her 2 favorite people in the entire world, the daughter who had taught her what unconditional love was, and the woman who had taught her what true love was, and felt deep gratitude for having had the courage to trust, to risk, to open her heart. Months ago, she had pretended to be away to test the nanny, expecting to find flaws, proof that she couldn't trust anyone. Instead, she found the person she wanted to spend the rest of her life with. Sometimes, Victoria thought, the greatest gifts come disguised as the greatest risks. And sometimes, all you need to do is open the door, even when you're afraid, and let love in. 6 months later, the wedding. The wedding was on a spring morning at the New York Botanical Garden in the Bronx. Intimate, with only close family and dear friends. Emma was the flower girl, wearing a white dress with blue details that matched the flowers in the bouquet. Victoria wore a simple but elegant wedding dress, Claire a sophisticated white jumpsuit. When they exchanged the vows they had written themselves, there wasn't a dry eye among the guests. "I promise," said Victoria, holding Claire's hands, "to choose you every day, on the easy days and the hard ones. When we're laughing and when we're fighting, I promise to be your partner, your best friend, your biggest supporter. I promise to continue growing alongside you, not just as a person, but as a family. And I promise," Claire responded, her voice emotional but firm, "to always see you, to see not just the CEO, not just the mother, but the incredible and complex woman you are. I promise to remind you to breathe when you forget. I promise to love Emma as my own daughter. I promise to build a life where love always comes first." When the officiant declared them married, they kissed while guests applauded, and Emma threw rose petals in the air, shouting, "My moms are married!" At the reception, during the bride's dance, Victoria whispered in Claire's ear, "It was worth it. Every moment of fear, every obstacle, every judgment, it was worth it to get here." "It was," Claire agreed. "And this is just the first page of our story. We have the rest of our lives ahead. I can't wait to write every chapter with you." And as they danced under the lights of the garden trees, surrounded by love and acceptance, Victoria thought about how her life had changed since that day she decided to spy on the nanny. She expected to find proof of betrayal or negligence. She found love, family, and a future she never imagined was possible. Sometimes what we're looking for isn't what we need to find. Sometimes the universe has better plans than ours. And sometimes all we need to do is have the courage to trust in other people, but especially in ourselves and in the possibility of being loved exactly as we are. Victoria Bennett had learned this in the most beautiful way possible, and as she spun with her wife in her arms, with her daughter running happily among the guests, she knew with absolute certainty she was finally home. Not in a brownstone on the Upper East Side, but in the arms of the woman she loved, in the heart of the daughter she adored, in the life they built together. And that was more valuable than any fortune she could have accumulated, any professional success she could have achieved. Because in the end, what really matters isn't how much we have, but who we love and who loves us back. And Victoria was the richest woman in the world. Epilogue. 5 years later, the Bennett-Thompson household on a typical Sunday morning was organized chaos. Emma, now 13, was sprawled on the living room floor doing homework while simultaneously texting friends. Claire was in the kitchen making French toast, dancing slightly to music playing from her phone. Victoria sat at the breakfast bar reviewing a presentation, but kept getting distracted watching her wife move around the kitchen. "Earth to Victoria," Claire said, waving a spatula. "You're staring. Can't help it. You're beautiful." Emma groaned from the living room. "Moms, please. It's too early for the lovey-dovey stuff." "Never too early for love," Victoria called back, making Claire laugh. The doorbell rang. Emma jumped up. "I'll get it." A moment later, she returned, followed by a young woman, about 22, professional-looking, carrying a portfolio. Mom, Emma said. "This is Jasmine. She's here for the nanny interview." Victoria and Claire exchanged confused looks. "Nanny interview?" Victoria asked. "Emma, you're 13. You don't need a nanny." Emma rolled her eyes. "Not for me, for them." She gestured to Claire's obviously pregnant belly, 7 months along with twins. Claire burst out laughing. "Emma, we haven't even started looking for help yet." "Well, I did, because I know you two. You'll wait until the last minute, then panic." Emma turned to Jasmine. "My moms are amazing but terrible at asking for help. They're going to need someone when the twins come." Victoria stood up, approaching her daughter. "You took the initiative to find us help? Someone's got to be the responsible one in this family," Emma said with teenage sass, but her eyes were soft. "Besides, I want to make sure whoever helps with my little siblings is good enough. I know what to look for. I learn from the best." She looked at Claire meaningfully. Claire wiped tears from her eyes. When did you grow up so much? I had good teachers. Jasmine stood awkwardly by the door. Should I come back another time? Victoria laughed. No, please stay. Have breakfast with us. If Emma vetted you, you must be something special. But I have one question. Yes, Miss Bennett? If we were to hire you, would you be okay with the fact that this family is a little unconventional? 2 moms, a precocious teenager, and soon-to-be twin toddlers? Jasmine smiled genuinely. Ms. Bennett, I grew up with 2 dads. Unconventional is my normal. Emma pumped her fist. See? I told you I'm good at this. As they all sat down for breakfast, the impromptu family interview turning into a warm conversation about parenting, family, and love, Victoria caught Claire's eye across the table. Her wife was glowing, one hand resting on her belly, the other gesturing animatedly as she talked with Jasmine about child development theories. Emma was between them, mature beyond her years, yet still their little girl, already planning how she'd help with the twins. This was her life now. Messy, beautiful, full of love and laughter and Sunday morning chaos. A far cry from the lonely, work-obsessed woman who once hid in her own house to spy on an employee. That woman had been looking for proof of untrustworthiness. This woman, this Victoria, had found trust, love, family, and herself, and she wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. Mom, Emma said, pulling her from her thoughts. Yes, sweetheart? When the twins come, can we tell them the story of how you and Mom Claire met? The whole crazy story about you pretending to travel? Victoria looked at Claire, who was grinning. Only if we include the part where your Mom Claire knew all along and let me make a fool of myself, Victoria said. That's my favorite part, Claire added. Mine too, Emma said. It's proof that even smart people do dumb things when they're scared. But if they're brave enough, dumb things can turn into beautiful things. Victoria felt tears prick her eyes. When did you get so wise? Emma shrugged. I told you. I had good teachers. As breakfast continued, with laughter, planning, and the warm chaos of family, Victoria sent a silent thank you to the universe, for the courage she found to trust, for the woman who saw through her walls, for the daughter who taught her what mattered, for the family they built together, unconventional and perfect, and for that day, years ago, when she made the crazy decision to hide in her own home. Because sometimes the craziest decisions lead to the most beautiful destinations. And Victoria Bennett Thompson was exactly where she was meant to be. Home. If this story touched your heart, leave a comment below sharing what you thought. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more emotional stories of love, overcoming, and family. Until next time.